Oh, it's about 31.5 degrees, about 88 Fahrenheit. Warming up a bit. Just going to move this old door here. And, oh, look at that, bare ground. This little Didymus, for some reason, he's dug a whole heap of bare ground up there. And you think it goes through to a hole, but actually it doesn't. It just sort of ends up going underneath the old tank here that I got a bunch of firewood in for the wood stove. And sort of comes out, actually sort of almost goes under the fridge here. I got a one day put in undercover. And here you get a little hole under there. I've actually seen them run in under here. So, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of crap in the grass. There's some sort of... Oh, I'll be stuffed. Blooming welder clamp. Big heavy cables. God, blimey. That might explain where the one went off his blooming welder. God, it never ends. There's stuff coming out of the ground the whole time. Transmission oil container. Or wire. God, blimey. But anyway, I went and trimmed around the solar panels with a hedge trimmer attachment that I have for my lops. And yeah, so we'll probably fence this off before too long. We'll probably actually whack a few posts in tomorrow for this one. I thought I was going somewhere this afternoon, but it looks like I'm not. But it's that hot, I might just have a rest for a few hours to escape the blooming heat. And yeah, I played around with a lot of old wire and stuff. And just hang on, I'll show you what we've done. Okay, so we ended up putting in the strainer post for the trees. And that's a second-hand one. This only has to last 10 years, maybe 15 years maximum. Doesn't really matter that much, so we got a better one. There's a few that are actually firewood grade. And we built in a heap of old posts. These are probably ones... Oh, they'll probably be from the 80s or 90s or something like that. They're still sort of alright. A little bit of it's still sort of covered in that. But this is some of the posts that my uncle used to fix the place up. After he moved in here in 1998, after his other property was repossessed. Several other properties were repossessed. Anyway, we sort of really run out of go near the end of all this in the flipping heat. Clouds have come over, so we might get a bit cooler before long, but we decided that I thought it was all fine, because I could stand in one spot and I could see the water tank there, and I could also see the other strainer post. Well, it was like standing in the middle of a V. You know, you're standing right in the point of the V and saying, oh, look, it lines up because I can see that side and I can see that side. Well, the reality is we've had to make it like a V. So there's another strainer post, and it's actually going to go on the outside of these posts, wrap around the inside of this one, back on the... I think it actually stays on this side. I can't remember how he wanted to do it, but it ends up getting to the other post up here. And basically wraps around this one. And just lands at that one there. All we've really got to do now is a bit around the front of the house. I've got to block in a few parts of the veranda, make a little gate for one part, and the other part just sort of mesh it in. And then, yeah, move a bit of glass and fart ass around. Oh, yeah, and try and cover in those plums. But aside from that, like, you know, once we do down to the agave plants and just roll out this stuff, and we've got to put a few stays, which are the big beams which go down and stabilise this. And then, yeah, we're all but flaming done. We actually did whack in the post down the bottom where there's got to be a temporary fence from last strainer I've got through to a strainer inside my father's place, because there's only about I'll work out like, I don't know, 15 metres or something of fencing before it hits the boundary fence that's in the straight line, and I mean that's no big deal playing with that, and that'll be something we do at a later date. Sheep that we've got, the wool breed, seem to be reasonably docile. You get something like a Dorper or even a Bord Leicester, which we're on these places, and they just go like a bulldozer. So we can get away with a bit of temporary fencing down there until my father replaces all his sides of the dealio. And yeah, it's getting incredibly close. And yeah, so long as we get the bulk of it done before I get back into work, we'll be good, and I think we will. Well, very busy day today. I went and rolled out the wire for the fence about half an hour ago, or probably an hour ago, and everything is just whop, 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 just going up just like that. It's now Thursday night. It's about 8 o'clock, and I've only just finished, and he wants to have them all in here by the weekend, probably by Saturday night. Holy smoke. So I've been outside moving pot plants into a little area I have that I fenced off a long time ago, and the IBCs, some of the mesh that I pulled up, old stuff from back in the 1940s or whatever the heck, surprise, surprise, it's almost the perfect width to fit over an IBC. Now, if you've dealt with IBCs, you know they're slightly rectangular. Well, the more lengthways, I can just put it out and it fits without a problem. So I've got one that I've almost secured. It's just too dark to do anything, and I'm just flipping worn out. And I'm going to do the next one tomorrow. We're going to fence off around the solar panels tomorrow. I've got a silver beet plant, or series of big gangly plants, and I don't really want the sheep to get those, and I've decided that I can actually set up a thing from the grey water outlet that my washing machines run out to, across my driveway to that, using all these old downpipes that my uncle's friend left here. So I'm going to try and put 4 posts in tomorrow morning and get a bit of fencing around that, and then try and run water across to it every time I do the washing, so I actually make use of the water from the washing machine, not by planting a whole new garden, because it's all too rocky where the water usually outlets out of the washing machine, but by watering an existing bunch of plants that are sort of trying to get along but just struggling along. And yeah, little thing on the veranda here, little mesh gate, and there's also going to be a was actually someone's garden gate on the other side, on the back side of where the front veranda that I can walk through to access the solar systems and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's sort of moving exceedingly quick. We've got to try and go down there tomorrow, try and do all this in the morning, and in the afternoon we're going to try and bog up all the holes with netting that are down where the agave plants are. And I'm probably going to be fiddling and farting around with a whole heap of wire, tying it on sort of thing, as in putting ties on every post, like as in tying the mesh to the post at each post, whereas at the moment it's just like every 4 or 5 posts sort of thing. But yeah, I'm going to have to work on doing that probably, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. And come, I don't know, Monday or something, we'll probably put the barbed wire along the top of it, and then we're finished. completely finished. Faster than I expected. But anyway, that's the way it goes with these agriculture fences that are more or less automated. In the way that they're so methodically put up, they're made to be whacked up so fast. We have whacked it up very fast. A lot faster than I expected. When I look at it, this is probably, it's going to be like 2 or 3 week job and we're done. Unbelievable. But anyway, well, yeah, 2 weeks plus a couple of weekends and we're done, but yeah. Here we are, another misty day. This is the second day it's been like this. All yesterday it was a slight mist. It was overcast, which is not really very good for the solar equipment, but thankfully I didn't flog the guts out of it before the first overcast day. I've just watered these. These are the spring onions, and as you can see I've got the mesh over from there, wide back down to here. I sort of ended up cutting it in line with this thing here. So this one it was easier, just tied it straight on to that. But with these I've had to sort of put little bits that go right down. I don't know if you can, that one you should be able to see. Yeah, that worked out great because that was actually the right width. Just enough to curl over the edge a little bit. And yeah. So I've got to go and play around with the plum trees and that in a while. I want to try and get guards around the base before I put anything around them. Move that cement sheet in because they stand on that and in 5 minutes it'll be stuffed. Pretty much the first footstep it'll be stuffed actually. They're heavy enough animals, about 40 kilos or something, and you know, you're on these 4 little blooming tiny little hooves, you know, they've got a fair bit of weight when they stand on your foot. I know that from first-hand experience. This here is all the Gangliar silver beet, and I'm just about to trim this crap in the background before I go and belt some posts in so that we've got a bit of room to actually put the wire up. And I'm thinking of getting a bit of treated pine I've got and sort of drilling hole saws through it where the posts line up so I can sort of have like cross bracing, like an X going that way and another X going that way, to hold the posts out in case they decide to push a wire in. It doesn't just sort of make the post bend inwards sort of thing. So yeah. Yeah, that's all so far. Pile of wood is sort of increasing. I went down and pulled out a whole stack of wire. I don't think I showed it down there, the dam that my uncle would set up this big thing, and a lot of it was still alright, and we've actually used that for around the trees. And then I decided to come back and get all the posts as well, and we haven't even touched any of the posts down the bottom, and the stack's just enormous. There's even still a few posts out the front of the house that we've still got lying around, but yeah, this is getting to the point of being ridiculous. Anyway, better too much wood than not enough. I went and finished up all this crap too. This was the stack I got over there. I had a little bit of gangly rubbish still here, so I went and scraped up a lot of that with, well, raked up the remains of it with the old rusty style rake here, and chucked some of it in the pile over there, and the rest of it, well, in the bonfire heap that I've got up near the front gate there. That's ever increasing in size. A lot of things we're just doing in a mad rush just to get them done. And, you know, there's fences that won't be entirely wired up. There'll be no barb on anything initially, just to get the sheep in here. So, yeah, my stupid ass alarm didn't go off, so I woke up half an hour later than I wanted to, but the heat is really on now. Not temperature-wise, but the heat is on to get everything flipping done, because literally it's Friday morning and we want to have them in here by sometimes Saturday, probably Saturday night. And I may even herd them in with the motorbike or the car or whatever sort of thing. And yeah. I don't know why, but I sort of have meant to show this, but never really have. Hang on a second here. That's gravity feed, by the way, from a few feet above, from an IBC. No pumps there. This is my little patch of vines. I'd basically given up because there was only one, which I think was this one, that looked like it had gone to sprout out, and there's a number of others that have, but the vast majority of them have been attacked by bugs so many times in a row, suffered the heat, that they've all just sort of, well, not all, but about, 5 out of original 16, and I think 12 got planted here, and, basically half of them are dead now. But yeah, a lot of it's been purely to do with a lack of shade here, and that's just wiped them out. Plus, after they blow out 3 lots of buds in one season, and each lot of new buds, which equals new leaves, gets eaten by bugs, in the end they just don't have any more go left, and that's what happened to quite a number of them. But this one was showing promise, but I'd given up on all these and hadn't even been down here in about a month, so this one's sort of died. But the fact of the matter is they really needed to be kept in pots for another year before I planted them out, and like I said, there's just far too much heat on them. They are protected by the wind because we're sort of going down a slight hill here, but this is all the mesh I put up, and I mean this is as tall as I am, this mesh. It's all very slack because it was never strained, but all the same I've got a whole stack of giant blooming galvanised posts that are belted all along here, and this is actually designed to keep the kangaroos out, and it has successfully worked quite well, because there's used to be kangaroos that would sort of hang around the curve there, and yeah, there's basically a black-tailed wallaby that lived in this paddock of mine, so it's he hasn't made it, he was alright, but a lot of these have just been really stunted by all the blooming bugs and stuff, and then the heat hasn't helped the situation, but it's primarily been bug problems with a lot of these. It's all glorious, this idea of growing without spraying anything and whatnot, but I tried pyrethrum spray, I tried a pyrethrum spray with garlic and chili oil, I tried bloody everything. It was absolutely frickin' useless. And I have had pyrethrum oil last in the past, but not this time. And yeah, I may water this one or I may not. But basically I've just about given up on them. I can get plum trees, and there's one that's not too far from here. They just grow without a problem in the world. So I'm actually thinking about next winter putting cherry trees down here, because, see, there's only one plant that's a bit alive at the end of this second row, because there's like 2 rows here. One plant that's a bit alive at the end of this row, and then there's a few that are alive in this row. So basically I could rip out all this row, because it's only the one on the very end that's alive still, barely alive. And I could plant something else in here, because, while you've got all this stuff all fenced in, and I mean, it's well fenced in, it's no flaming bullshit. Nothing's, going to flame and get through something like, that's really quite tight mesh, in terms of dealing with sheep and stuff like that sort of thing. That's better than what they even call pig wire, 8-line pig wire. But I should have something in here and make a go of the fact that it's so well closed in. And yeah, but anyway, one project at a time. What's here is my very old rose bush. This is seriously old. Old school roses that only last for a few days. Those cypress trees there were planted in 1927, so that means these were somewhere around that time, 1930, 1925, somewhere around that time. I've actually seen a photo of, was it my grandfather's cousin? Not the one who was a useless person, but his brother sitting basically beside this post with all this netting here, and all this rose, I'm pretty certain, was over this netting. And yeah, there's also a jasmine bush here, as you may have noticed. There's also a wabbit under there that I scared out a few minutes ago. And I thought this was dead, and I gave it a bit of a trim, just a quick lop off the top with a chainsaw. And all of a sudden it started coming up from the base, and I mean the main stem there is still dead, but all of a sudden, kaboom! You get this stuff that's as thick as me thumb, that's only been here for the last 2 years or something, resulted in all this coming out again. So, poor old sod's probably 80 plus years old, and still blowing out these lovely flowers, but they don't last long. And a lot of the older style ones were all red, and they never lasted very long. Petals are very loose and fall out, but all the same, it's blowing out quite a lot of petals. So it's got some sort of a fungal issue going on there. I sort of never really take much notice of it, but now I'm around here playing with the little plums just there. I thought I might give this a bit of a quick trim as well. Alrighty, hopefully the fan doesn't mess with the sound of my voice or wind noise. Just running the old machine here. This is, I think it's made in Taiwan, but it's made back in the 90s when things are made a bit better. And yeah, good fan that my uncle left behind. Sit that on the wood heater. Anyway, there's been a bit of change of plans. Well, you know, I had one idea that it'd be Saturday night. It's actually going to be tonight, Friday night, that the sheep are going to come in. We're actually going to get him in with the motorbike and the old Banger Nissan that I drive around with all the wood in. Basically push the buggers in here. Yeah, surprisingly, things have gone very fast. You know, it was all of about 7 or 8 minutes to put up the fence around the solar panels, and I got one round the what's his name, the plum trees. That went in quite well, even though I had to smash a bit of concrete to get some of them in there. That concrete might be 90 years old, but by hell, it's good concrete. I couldn't believe it. It's really solid concrete. Anyway, we got all that in as well. I just got to put a couple of tie wires on that before he comes back from lunch, and around the silver beet. And I just gave that 30 litres of water too, which is like, oh, I don't know, 8 gallons or something, because that was looking really shit actually. It's really wilting. And all I got to do, we got someone's front gate that I'm going to stick around the side here. I'm just going to slam in a few fencing staples for the chicken wire. There's someone who made a chicken coop, and I'm sure they could have done with the sort of fencing staples I've got that are little tiny ones that I actually picked up when I had my business. And they're basically made more or less for chicken wire. And so I'm going to staple a bit of that onto the house and one of the posts in the veranda there, and then there's someone's little garden gate, and yeah, I can even whack in another steel post and a bit more chicken wire for that, because we've got little offcuts that I've had from doing stuff, and little other gangles that I've pulled out from the original fence that are still all right, and that'll be that door there sorted out where me cooler sucks air through, and I'm going to have an air conditioner there, hopefully up higher on that door. But that's the part of the veranda they can walk through in the back of the solar panel, so I'm going to block that off for that. We've got this other white mesh thing that my father got through his church. I think they used to use it for creche or some blooming thing, like babysitting during church, basically. And yeah, it's like this big powder-coated thing, and that almost fits the whole front of the front veranda where I come in through the main door, so as to keep them out of basically crashing through the glass that I've closed the front off with when I come home and walk through and they panic and just go smashing through the fiberglass or the actual glass sheets. And I don't want any of that business happening, so I'm going to whack that up there. This may all be very temporary. You know, I may be whipping out the wood clamps, you know, those 22 flipping clamps I bought when that store went bankrupt. Yeah, they may come in very handy. Or other bits of tie wire just to hold it on for the meantime. But yeah, then eventually we'll get proper hinges and all that. But this one in the front, I don't know if it actually matters because I virtually never even go there. So that might just be wire around the post basically back onto the little garden gate. But after this, when he gets back, basically we're going to focus on going down around the agave plants, and there's another 15 metres before it hits the boundary fence, as I explained about the strainer, last strainer being 15 metres before it hits the boundary fence, and then the next turn in the fence is actually into my father's place. And so we've got these 15 metres from the last strainer to the actual boundary where there's no need for another strainer. So we're going to just whack up a bit of temporary old crap that I tore out. That's probably a bit of the old crap that I got from my uncle's gangle up near his dam that I ripped out Thursday morning about 7:30ish in the morning. And yeah, whack that down the bottom, and then that's pretty much it. We're just going to throw a few old posts and old bits of pine logs or whatever under any gaps underneath it for the meantime, and then probably come back and repack those gaps with rocks. With the old rock walls that are around here, because most of these fences are mounted on those rock walls. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. And get on the bike, and we'll be on the bike, and I'll be in the old Banger Nissan, and just force them straight in here. And little miss told me that I should be mowing around my house a bit more, and I sort of did, but then I didn't sort of go the full hog, and quite frankly, by tonight I won't need to, because probably by Saturday lunchtime there'll be no grass left around my damn veranda anyway. So there we go. Down the bottom here we've actually got a piece that was left over from doing the neighbour's boundary fence up the top that we're going to use for the bottom of this. So this is actually good stuff.